Howdy, with this video I want to show you how to use Turnitin. It's our plagiarism detector here at Northeast State. And I want you to use it more as a diagnostic tool when you're getting ready to submit your final version of your essay. Not for me to use it as a gotcha tool. You can use it both ways, but I prefer you look at it before you submit your essays. You can tell when I have Turnitin turned on. You can see here under full draft of essay 1 this little binocular looking icon. That means I've turned Turnitin on, mainly so you can look at your own essays and see what the report says. Yours is going to look a little different, but when you open up your submissions area in the Dropbox folder, it's going to show a little number with a color, and that's the turned in report. And you can see you can have a wide range, especially on this first essay. It just depends on what's going on. Generally, anything over 30% is going to get my attention. Like down here with Jacob's, and I've already opened this, so we're not going to get a big surprise with Jacob's essay. 47% is going to get my attention. I'm definitely going to check that, see what's going on there. It doesn't mean anything, just at surface value. And we're going to see right now if you're using quotes that somebody else has already used in a previous essay that's been submitted. That's not unusual. We're not the first people writing about these particular short stories. So somebody else may have had that research or had those quotes. And generally most of these stories, the whole story is going to be in Turnitin, so the quotes are going to pop up. But all you got to do is click on the color there. And then it takes a second to pop up. And what you're going to see, well, I already did something here. Hold on. With this 47% match, we're going to take a look at it. But you can see right away, sometimes it's kind of silly. When I highlight something, it's saying somebody else has used those words before you have. Somewhere, across America, or even the world, somebody's used the phrase Warlock 1 in their essay. It doesn't mean Jacob's plagiarizing. You don't plagiarize your last name, right? But it's just all really Turnitin does. It just says somebody else has submitted this material before you have. And again, that's not always a bad thing. So analysis of Sherman and Alexie's, this is what it means to say Phoenix, Arizona. Just that phrase, Sherman and Alexie's, this is what it means to say Phoenix, Arizona. That's the name of the short story and the name of the author. Yeah, somebody's probably used that in a previous essay. Not a big deal. The little phrase analysis of, pretty common with English essays, right? But you can kind of see it's highlighting the quotes. There's no problem with that. Jacob's citing the quotes. I know exactly where it's coming from. It's formatted properly. There is no problem with that quote. He's not plagiarizing at all. And we're probably going to see why it's getting such a high number is probably Jacob's using long quotes. And my guess is it's going to highlight the works cited page, right? But you can kind of see, just little phrases. That's not plagiarism. Is a story that is not, that's a pretty common phrase. You're going to see that sometimes. So you kind of see it's highlighting little silly stuff. Again, it's going to highlight the entire quote. All that means is some other student before Jacob has submitted that quote in an essay that was submitted to Turnitin, which is nothing wrong with that. He's citing it and formatting it as a quote. Same thing. Now we got a long quote. The whole thing's highlighted. And what some instructors do is they'll go ahead and upload an entire short story into Turnitin just so it'll highlight stuff like that. Kind of jerks, if you ask me, but it causes problems for the rest of us. But we can just kind of go through the essay. The only things that are getting highlighted are quotes. So Jacob's not doing anything wrong at all. And again, there's another quote that's highlighted. So Jacob's pretty good to go. And it's highlighting some of his works cited page entries. Again, nothing wrong with that. That's just saying some other student has used this works cited page entry in a previous essay, which, okay, so what? It doesn't mean anything. That's not plagiarism. So pretty high number, but absolutely nothing wrong with that essay. And what I can also do is I can go to this little martini glass looking thing. I guess it's supposed to be a funnel, but I guess I just told you something about me. But you can exclude quotes and bibliography. It's not a perfect tool. But if I do that, it goes from 47% to 6%. And again, most of this 6% is just silly stuff. You can't plagiarize the word "the," right? You can just go through it again real quick. There's absolutely nothing wrong with this essay. So when you first see your number, it might be like, holy moly. But again, if you're using long quotes and research, that's not unusual. Okay, 47% is a little high, but there's nothing wrong with what he's doing. So he's in good shape. If, for example, like it highlighted this whole passage, that might mean he's taking that passage directly from the source and not putting quote marks around it, not formatting it as a quote, and that is plagiarism. So if you see something that's highlighted and you don't have it cited, or it's not formatted as a quote, and it's kind of saying this was taken word for word from somewhere, that's what you want to watch out for. But again, Jacob's not doing that. Everything looks good with this essay. But that's kind of how you use Turnitin. Again, I'd rather use it as a diagnostic tool. We turn in a final version of the draft, and if you have kind of a high number, go see what it's saying. And if it just does something like it has with Jacob's paper, you're fine, right? But if it does highlight certain passages, and you're like, why is that highlighted? Particularly a passage that's not cited, contact me and say, hey, I don't quite understand what's going on here. And I'm happy to take a look at it. And you might be plagiarizing, but it's better to notice that before I grade it instead of, while I'm grading it, right? But if you have any questions about Turnitin, and again, some of these first two essays we're working on, it can be kind of like, whoa. And some of these response papers where you're putting in a long quote and just a short response, it could be like 50, 60%. But again, that doesn't mean anything. You got to open the report and take a look at it and see what's going on there. But it's kind of important for students to know how Turnitin works. If you get in kind of a new instructor who's not familiar with it and just goes like, 60%, you fail. It's like, whoa, I want to see the report. I want to see what's being highlighted. And then you want to go through it and see what's going on there. But most of the time, students aren't plagiarizing. It's when you get like the 85% and they still have the Wikipedia links in there when you know you got some plagiarism. But if you have any questions about Turnitin, be sure to let me know, and we will talk to you later. Bye-bye.